In a bustling city filled with towering skyscrapers and flashing neon lights, two worlds existed side by side, separated by an invisible wall. On one side, there were the wealthy, living lavish lives, while on the other, there were the homeless, who struggled daily for basic necessities. Among them was a man named Daniel, a kind-hearted soul who had fallen on hard times. His once promising career as an architect had crumbled under the weight of personal tragedy, leaving him wandering the streets in search of a place to belong. Daniel had learned to find beauty in the little things. He often sat on a park bench, sketching the world around him, his worn notebook filled with drawings of the city's skyline and its people. It was his escape, a reminder of who he once was. But life had a way of testing him, and he had developed a thick skin against the stares and whispers from passersby. One sunny afternoon, while Daniel was lost in thought, a woman named Veronica walked by. She was the embodiment of elegance, dressed in designer clothes, her hair perfectly styled. She had everything someone could dream of: wealth, beauty, and a prestigious job in a high-rise office. But her heart was a different story. Despite her outward success, Veronica felt trapped in a life that valued materialism over genuine connection. As she strolled through the park, she noticed Daniel sitting there, sketching. Without a thought, she sneered, "Look at that filthy man! How can anyone live like that?" Her words dripped with disdain, a reflection of her own insecurities. Unbeknownst to her, Daniel had hurt her. He looked up from his drawing, his eyes meeting hers for a brief moment. There was a flicker of pain in his gaze, but he quickly returned to his sketch, dismissing her cruelty as just another day in the life of a homeless man. Days turned into weeks, and Veronica found herself drawn to the park. Each time she passed Daniel, she experienced a strange mix of emotions. She felt a sense of superiority, yet guilt nagged at her conscience. It was as if Daniel's presence stirred something within her, an unsettling feeling that perhaps her life wasn't as perfect as it appeared. One day, Veronica decided to confront her feelings head-on. She approached Daniel, her heart racing. "Why don't you clean yourself up?" she blurted out, her tone harsh. "You look like you live in the gutter." Daniel looked up, surprised by her sudden confrontation. "I may be dirty," he replied calmly, "but I am not filthy. Filth is a state of mind." Veronica was taken aback. She had expected him to cower or apologize, but he stood his ground. There was a strength in his words, a wisdom that resonated with her. She felt a flicker of respect for the man she had once looked down upon. "Why do you sit here every day?" she asked, her tone softening. "I sketch," he replied. "It reminds me of who I used to be." Veronica felt a knot in her throat. "What happened to you?" Daniel hesitated, the weight of his past heavy on his shoulders. "Life happened," he said simply. "I lost my family, my job, and my way." In that moment, Veronica felt a connection. She realized that Daniel was not just a homeless man. He was a human being with dreams and aspirations, just like her. Over the next few weeks, Veronica began visiting Daniel regularly. They shared stories, laughter, and moments of vulnerability. Daniel opened up about his love for architecture and how he had once designed beautiful buildings. Veronica, in turn, shared her struggles with the high expectations of her job and the loneliness that often accompanied her wealth. As their friendship blossomed, Veronica found herself questioning her own life choices. She began to see the world through Daniel's eyes and discovered the beauty in simplicity. In return, Daniel found hope in Veronica's presence. She inspired him to believe in himself again, to dream of a better future. One fateful day, as they sat on the park bench, Daniel received a call that changed everything. It was from his late mother's lawyer, informing him that she had left him a small inheritance. "It's not much," the lawyer said, "but it's enough to get you back on your feet." Daniel's heart raced as he processed the news. He felt a mix of joy and disbelief. "Thank you," he whispered, overwhelmed by emotions. Veronica beamed with happiness for her friend, but the thought of Daniel rising above his circumstances filled her with anxiety. "What will you do with the money?" she asked, concern etched on her face. "I want to start over," Daniel replied. "I'll find a place to live, maybe even pursue my passion for architecture again." As the days passed, Daniel began to make plans. He sought temporary housing and enrolled in community college to study architecture. Veronica supported him every step of the way. cheering him on and offering encouragement. Yet, a nagging feeling lingered in her mind. She couldn't shake the thought that their worlds were destined to collide in a way neither of them could foresee. One evening, as Daniel was going through his late mother's belongings, he stumbled upon an old envelope. Curiosity piqued. He opened it and found his mother's handwritten will. It was a simple document, but it revealed a shocking truth. His mother had left him not just the small inheritance, but a hidden property in a prime location within the city. Daniel's hands trembled as he read the words. He could hardly believe it. This property had the potential to change his life completely, to rebuild his dreams from the ground up. He rushed to share the news with Veronica, his heart racing with excitement. When he arrived at the park, he found her sitting on their usual bench, scrolling through her phone. He took a deep breath, his heart pounding in anticipation. "Veronica, you won't believe what I found," he exclaimed, his voice filled with euphoria. Veronica looked up, her eyes shining with curiosity. "What is it?" Daniel revealed the will and explained the significance of the property. As he spoke, he noticed a flicker of discomfort on Veronica's face. "That's incredible, Daniel," she said, forcing a smile. "You can create something amazing with it." But beneath her enthusiasm, Daniel sensed a storm brewing. Veronica's expression was unreadable, her thoughts hidden behind a mask of excitement. Days turned into weeks, and Daniel began to navigate the process of claiming his inheritance. He hired a lawyer to help him with the paperwork and started brainstorming ideas for the property. Yet, Veronica's demeanor shifted. She became distant, her visits to the park less frequent. One evening, as Daniel was working on his plans, he received a text from Veronica. "Can we meet? I need to talk to you," it read. A knot formed in his stomach. When they met, Veronica's eyes were filled with tears. "I've been offered a promotion," she said, her voice trembling, "but it requires me to move to another city." Daniel felt his heart sink. "When do you have to leave?" "In a week," she replied, her voice breaking. "I didn't want to tell you because I didn't want to hurt you." Daniel felt a wave of emotions crash over him. "Veronica, this is a great opportunity for you," he said, trying to hide his disappointment. "You should take it." "But what about us?" she asked, her eyes searching his for answers. Daniel took a deep breath. "We'll always have our memories. You've helped me more than you know." Veronica shook her head, tears streaming down her face. "I don't want to leave you. I've grown to care for you deeply." In that moment, Daniel realized that their bond was stronger than he had anticipated. "Maybe we can make this work," he suggested. "We can find a way to stay connected, even if you're far away." Veronica smiled through her tears, and Daniel felt a glimmer of hope. They promised to keep in touch, to support each other from a distance. As the days passed, Daniel poured himself into his plans for the property. He envisioned a community center that would provide resources for the homeless, a place where people could find support, learn new skills, and feel valued. He wanted to give back to those who had faced similar struggles. But just as things began to fall into place, a shocking twist awaited Daniel. One evening, as he was reviewing the final documents for the property, he discovered an unexpected clause in his mother's will. It stated that if he were to sell the property within 5 years, all proceeds would go to a charitable organization of her choice. Daniel felt a rush of anger and confusion. "Why didn't she tell me about this?" he muttered to himself, feeling betrayed. He reached out to his lawyer, seeking clarity. "This doesn't make sense. Why would she put such restrictions on me?" The lawyer explained, "Your mother wanted to ensure that the property would be used for the greater good. She believed in giving back to the community." Daniel's frustration began to dissipate as he absorbed the weight of his mother's message. She had always been passionate about helping others, and now he understood her intentions. With renewed determination, Daniel decided to honor his mother's wishes. He would not only keep the property, but turn it into a place of hope and healing. He poured his heart and soul into the project, tirelessly working day and night to bring his vision to life. As he achieved milestones, he kept Veronica updated, sharing every detail of the community center's progress. Despite the distance, their connection remained strong. They exchanged calls and messages, supporting each other through their respective journeys. Just when things seemed to be falling into place, another twist awaited them. One day, Daniel received an unexpected visit from a woman claiming to be his mother's distant relative. She approached him with a sense of urgency, her eyes filled with concern. "I'm here to warn you," she said breathlessly. "There are people who want to take that property from you. They'll stop at nothing to get it." Daniel's heart raced as he processed her words. "What do you mean?" "Your mother had enemies," she explained, "people who didn't want her to succeed in her charitable endeavors. They'll try to undermine you, to make you doubt yourself." Fear gripped Daniel, but he refused to let it consume him. He had come too far to back down now. "I won't let them intimidate me," he declared, determination shining in his eyes. He reached out to the community for support, sharing his story and rallying people around his cause. The news of his plans for the community center spread like wildfire, drawing attention from local media. People began to rally behind him, showing up to offer their help and support. As the opening day approached, Daniel felt a mixture of excitement and anxiety. He had poured his heart into this project, and now it was time to share it with the world. Veronica, despite being miles away, promised to attend the grand opening, her heart swelling with pride for her friend. On the day of the opening, the sun shone brightly as people gathered outside the newly renovated building. Daniel stood at the entrance, his heart racing with anticipation. He looked around at the community he had built, a tapestry of diverse faces coming together for a common purpose. Veronica arrived, her eyes shining with joy as she embraced Daniel. "I'm so proud of you," she exclaimed, her voice filled with emotion. As they cut the ribbon, cheers erupted from the crowd. Daniel felt a wave of gratitude wash over him. He had not only honored his mother's legacy, but had also created a space where people could find hope and support. But just as celebration filled the air, a shadow loomed over the event. A group of well-dressed individuals approached, their expressions cold and calculating. "Daniel," one of them said, stepping forward with an air of authority. "We need to talk." Daniel's heart sank. He recognized the man as a lawyer representing the interests of a corporate entity that had tried to undermine his mother's charity in the past. "What do you want?" Daniel asked, his voice steady despite the fear bubbling inside him. "We believe you have something that belongs to us," the lawyer replied, a sly smile creeping across his face. "You're gonna need to reconsider your plans for this property." Daniel's heart raced as he felt the weight of the crowd's eyes on him. He refused to let them intimidate him. "This property is not just a piece of land, it's a sanctuary for those in need," he replied firmly. The lawyer smirked. "Is that so? We have the means to make your life very difficult, Daniel. You wouldn't want to risk losing everything you've worked for, would you?" In that moment, Daniel realized that he was standing at a crossroads. He could either let fear dictate his actions or stand tall and fight for what he believed in. With newfound courage, he addressed the crowd. "This isn't just about me, it's about all of us. We have the power to create change, to support one another. I won't back down." The crowd erupted in applause, their voices ringing out in support. Daniel felt a surge of strength as he faced the lawyer, unwavering in his resolve. "Do what you will," Daniel said, his voice steady, "but this property will serve the community. I won't let greed take away what my mother believed in." As the lawyer's expression hardened, Daniel felt a wave of support wash over him. He knew he had allies in this fight, and together, they would stand strong against those who sought to tear them apart. In the days that followed, Daniel fought back against the corporate interests that threatened his community center. With the help of his newfound friends and Veronica's unwavering support from afar, he began to gather evidence of the corporation's unethical practices. As the battle raged on, Daniel found strength in the stories of those who had benefited from the center. He listened to their struggles, their triumphs, and their dreams. Each story fueled his determination to protect the space they had created together. Finally, the day of reckoning arrived. Daniel stood in a courtroom, surrounded by supporters, ready to face the corporation head-on. He presented his case, laying bare the truth behind their motives. The tension in the room was palpable as he spoke from the heart, sharing his journey and the impact of the community center. When the verdict was announced, Daniel's heart raced. "We find in favor of Mr. Daniel Harris," the judge declared, and the courtroom erupted in cheers. Daniel felt a wave of relief wash over him. He had fought for what he believed in, and now he had won. But as he looked around at the faces of those who had supported him, he knew this victory was not just his, it was theirs. In the weeks that followed, the community center flourished. People from all walks of life came together, sharing their stories, skills, and support. Daniel found joy in watching others thrive, knowing that he had played a part in creating something meaningful. And though Veronica had moved away, their bond remained strong. They continued to support each other, finding comfort in their shared dreams and aspirations. As Daniel stood in the center one evening, watching the laughter and joy surrounding him, he felt a profound sense of gratitude. He had come a long way from the park bench, from the whispers of disdain. Life had thrown him challenges, but he had emerged stronger, more resilient than ever. And as he looked to the future, Daniel knew that he would continue to fight for those who needed it most, just as his mother had done. The journey had been filled with twists and turns, but through it all, Daniel had learned that hope could be found in the most unexpected places. And sometimes, the most profound connections could bloom in the unlikeliest of circumstances. As the sun set over the city, casting a warm glow over the community center, Daniel felt a sense of peace. He had transformed his pain into purpose, and in doing so had inspired others to rise above their own struggles. And so, in a world divided by wealth and poverty, Daniel had become a beacon of hope, a testament to the power of kindness, compassion, and the unwavering spirit of humanity. The story of Daniel and Veronica served as a reminder that true wealth is not measured in money or possessions, but in the connections we forge and the lives we touch. And as long as there were stories to be told, hope would continue to thrive, lighting the way for those lost in the shadows. Hey everyone! If you enjoyed this story and want to see more like it, don't forget to like this video. It really helps us out. Also, subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. We have more incredible stories coming your way, and you won't want to miss them. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment below. What was your favorite part? Did this story surprise you? Let's chat in the comments. And finally, if you think someone else would love this story, share it with them. Spreading positivity and great stories is what we're all about. Thank you for being here. You're the best. See you in the next story.